the sport and exercise environment. Have you ever wondered why we get such a thrill out of competition? Let's delve into the intricacies of competition, cooperation, and their role in the sports world. Imagine yourself on a football field, or perhaps a tennis court. As you look around, you see scores of players and athletes competing fiercely, aiming to outperform one another. That's the essence of competition. It's this exciting social process where athletes aim to outdo each other, and rewards get bestowed based on relative performance. But did you know that competition isn't as simple as it looks? It's structured, made up of distinct stages. Picture competition as a play, a drama in 4 acts. First, we have the objective competitive situation. It's like the setup, where the goal and the rewards for achieving it are established. Then comes the subjective competitive situation. Here, athletes size up their competition and decide if they have what it takes to win. The response is the third act. It's the athlete's actual performance, be it a masterstroke or a fumble. Finally, there are the consequences. This is the climax. Athletes either relish their victory or introspect their defeat. Notice there's no social comparison stage. Martin's model, which describes this process, doesn't include it. Now, competition might steal the limelight, but cooperation plays an equally pivotal role in sports. We live in a world influenced significantly by our social environments, and these environments mold our competitive and cooperative instincts. This dynamic nature of cooperation and competition makes sports and physical activities fascinating research subjects. Speaking of research, did you hear about Orlick's study on cooperative games? Over 14 weeks, Orlick closely observed 2 groups of young athletes. One group was exposed to cooperative games, while the other, the control group, was not. The findings? The youths engaged in cooperative games showed a remarkable change. Not only did they exhibit thrice as much cooperative behavior during their free play as compared to the control group, but the games in the control group mainly spotlighted individual achievements. But while cooperation has its merits, it's essential to understand that not every behavior supports a cooperative learning environment. For instance, while valuing effort and viewing mistakes as stepping stones in learning enrich a cooperative setup, overemphasizing extrinsic rewards doesn't. Rewards, when external, can sometimes overshadow the joy of the challenge and the activity itself. Lastly, here's a fun tidbit for you. Competitors often see the world in a unique light. To a competitor, the world divides into 2: competitors, like themselves, and cooperators. What's intriguing is how competitors can influence the cooperative nature of cooperators, leading them into the competitive fray. For those mentoring athletes, remember, competition and cooperation aren't mutually exclusive. Both have their role, their importance. As mentors, parents, coaches, and educators, the goal should be to blend competition and cooperation seamlessly, ensuring sports remains an enjoyable, meaningful, and educational experience for all. Behavior modification. When it comes to the realm of reinforcement, the conversation often revolves around 2 primary approaches: positive and negative control. Let's explore them, shall we? Think of a time you were praised for doing something well. That's positive control in action. Positive reinforcement involves adding something favorable to increase a behavior. On the flip side, negative control, often synonymous with punishment, is all about deterring or decreasing a particular behavior, often by introducing something unpleasant. However, when we chat about these approaches, we often lean towards the positive spectrum. It feels good, doesn't it? Encouraging behaviors through rewards and praise often leads to better outcomes and fosters an environment of growth. Yet, there's a caveat. Punishment does sometimes become essential to change certain behaviors. But be wary, relying too much on punishment might breed a fear of failure or make the learning environment less appealing. Now, reinforcements aren't a one-size-fits-all deal. For them to truly hit the mark, they need to be tailored. This means choosing effective reinforcers, the kind of rewards that genuinely resonate, using an optimal schedule of reinforcements, how and when these rewards are given, and identifying the right behaviors to reinforce. This doesn't just involve performance-related behaviors, but also includes encouraging social and emotional skills. Speaking of behaviors and their consequences, let's tackle a misconception. Some might think that one's personality is more crucial than the outcome of a behavior. But reinforcements tell a different story. If you enjoy the outcome of an action, you'll probably repeat it, right? And if the result isn't so rosy, you'd steer clear in the future. The consequences of our behaviors play a vital role in how we act. Now, as we talk about motivation, particularly intrinsic motivation, the self-determination theory brings forth some fundamental psychological needs, relatedness and autonomy. Feeling connected and having a say in our decisions? Sounds about right for a motivated mind. In the world of sports and performance, there's a captivating concept called flow. Think of it as being in the zone, where you're completely immersed in what you're doing. Now, here's a neat connection. Those who practice mindfulness and are inherently more present score higher in certain dimensions of flow, particularly the balance between skills and challenge and the merging of action with awareness. Flow isn't solely for the individual athletes, though. Contrary to popular belief, individual sport athletes don't necessarily experience flow states more often than their counterparts in team sports. And interestingly, aspects like self-concept and gender don't necessarily dictate how often one might experience these states. To ensure this intrinsic motivation thrives, our coaches, teachers, and leaders have their work cut out. Simple acts, like offering praise, both verbal and nonverbal, involving individuals in decision-making, setting achievable goals, basing rewards on performance, promoting an environment where everyone feels they have control, and mixing up practice routines can all feed into this motivation. Remember, whether it's the court, the classroom, or life, the right reinforcement can change the game. Diversity and inclusion in sport and exercise. As you lace up those sneakers or tune into a game, you might not instantly think of the vast tapestry of diversity that plays out on the field or in the gym. But trust me, it's there, and its importance is monumental. So, let's start by understanding what we mean when we throw around terms like diversity, inclusion, and cultural competence. Diversity is about recognizing and appreciating the unique qualities and experiences that every individual brings to the table. Inclusion then takes that a step further, ensuring that everyone not only feels recognized but also feels like they truly belong. Meanwhile, cultural competence dives into understanding and effectively interacting with people from various cultural backgrounds. Now, on to the heart of the matter. What do our sports and exercise settings tell us about the myriad facets of diversity? When you think of gender and sexuality, stereotypes might be the first thing that pops into your mind. But researchers like Aina Shalabiv of the University of California and her colleagues have emphasized alternative stereotype models, suggesting that individuals don't necessarily need to internalize gender-based stereotypes. It's not about men do this, women do that. It's about understanding that we're all unique and can't be boxed into conventional notions. Similarly, when considering disability, it's essential to appreciate the transformative power of integration. For disabled individuals, getting involved in sports with non-disabled peers isn't just about the game. It leads to significant positive outcomes like improved self-esteem and even an enhancement in motor skills. But while these benefits are clear, it's also essential to acknowledge the challenges. Barriers like fear of falling, inaccessible facilities, dependence on others, or lack of equipment can deter disabled individuals from diving into the world of sports and exercise. However, the price tag of a health club isn't necessarily among these barriers. Taking a magnifying glass to weight bias, race and ethnicity, and even the unique experiences of immigrant coaches and athletes, research has been pivotal in revealing the intricacies of diversity in sport. From understanding cultural nuances to breaking down stereotypical barriers, the sports world is an evolving landscape of diversity and inclusion. Now, why is all of this so darn important? Well, apart from the fact that it's morally the right path, diversity and inclusion also pack a punch in terms of benefits. They usher in fresh perspectives, lead to more innovation, foster teamwork, and create a richer community. Essentially, they make the world of sports and exercise richer, fuller, and more exciting. Now, it's all well and good to champion diversity and inclusion, but how do we walk the walk? Building cultural competence is a fantastic starting point. Dive into different cultures, understand their nuances, and challenge your assumptions. As leaders, educators, and enthusiasts, it's essential to actively seek out diverse voices, build inclusive environments, and always strive for understanding. Remember, in the vibrant mosaic of sports and exercise, every piece, every individual, adds value. Embrace the spectrum and let's play on.